This week we head south of Utica following Route 12 to the Valley of the Shenango and the town of Sherburne. The area was originally inhabited by the Oneidas and settled by Europeans around 1792. Some believe it was named for early settler James Sherburne, and others from the inspirational English hymn Sherburne, popular with the early pioneers. The new Historical Society building is located in Sherburne's historic park and is the office of town historian Rose Wellman. We learn that the building was dedicated in memory of Josh Webb, who originally started the log cabin before he died in 1998. The building houses photos, artifacts, and historical displays. The historic park also has a picnic pavilion, a railroad section house, a historic bridge, perennial garden, and an old one-room schoolhouse. The schoolhouse was built in 1890 and used for classes until 1947. It was moved to the historic park and dedicated in September of 2000, with former students in attendance.
This one-room schoolhouse was moved 3 times until it found a permanent home here at the Sherburne Historical Park. It's really worth coming down here, especially if you were one of those people who attended a one-room schoolhouse, because it has an original blackboard and inkwells that go way back. As a matter of fact, I can remember having an inkwell just like that one when I went to grade school.
Now I've been to mountaintops and my share of troubles too. But if I could do it all again, oh Lord, you know just what I'd do. If I could have just one wish, take a trip back in a time machine to the day I learned to play the wildwood flower on black diamond string. Well, I don't know if they still make them. Back then they were the best. And good time didn't cost much. $2.95 a cent.
In the village of Sherburne's historic district, on the southeast corner of the main intersection, is the Gothic-style Sherburne Public Library. It will soon celebrate its 100th anniversary.
It was built in 1910, opened in April of 1911. It was funded by the banker's daughters, the Pratts, and they recruited an architect from New York City, Edward Lippincott Tilton, who was also the designer of many of the Carnegie libraries that were built in the same time frame. Well, the vaulted ceiling, the large windows were all a new idea at the time. Libraries were being built to be more open to the air, to be better lit, and they were peeling them apart from schools at that time. So standalone library buildings were new and wonderful at the turn of the century.
It was late one night in October. I was driving down a long country road when I saw a man come through the fog on horseback. It must have been Wash Loomis's ghost.
The smell of autumn is in the air, so we take a drive to the Rogers Environmental Education Center to enjoy the changing of the seasons. There are 600 acres offering a variety of habitats for walkers, bird watchers, and nature lovers.
Even though the indoor classroom school is back in session, you can still come down here to Rogers Conservation Center and find a classroom of nature. You can walk these trails. There are some 7 miles of trails. There are exhibits, and then you can end the day with a picnic.
In the early 1900s, 1909, the state, which was called, I think, the Conservation Department at that time, was convinced to open up a game farm, and it was here at this site, and it was started by a person named Mr. Rogers and his wife Gertrude Rogers, and so they acquired land so that they could keep alive all of the creatures that they wanted to raise here. They raised pheasants here over the years. They also tried raising fish. They tried raising some types of waterfowl. And then they kind of settled into just raising pheasants. And they did that for a number of years, and then in the early 60s, the state department decided that they needed to close down this game farm. And so they were going to just shut it down, and the people of Sherburne thought, oh, how can we lose this resource that we've had here for so many years? And by hook or by crook, they were convinced by the Rotary Club that they should turn it into an education center, an environmental education center, which at that time was called a conservation education center. So in 1967, it officially opened as the Rogers Conservation Education Center and has been here ever since. They will find what I term backyard wildlife. You know, this is a habitat that is common throughout central New York, and we have trails that go towards the river. We have trails that go up into higher elevation, and woodland trails, field trails, so that people can see different types of habitats, and then if they're quiet enough, they can see some of the wildlife that lives there. You know, we get to see a lot of things, and this is the type of place where a person looks out their window and sees some wildlife and then alerts everybody else, and we all run to the window to see what it is. So we've seen some very wonderful things here, and people who visit can see those same things if they're just a little patient and a little quiet.
The Rogers Environmental Education Center's grounds are open daily from sunrise to sunset. There are free programs offered throughout the year. This Saturday, there is a walk to Rexford Falls Gorge from 10 to noon. And at 1:30, there is a free program, Watchable Wildlife, getting ready for winter.